7 a.m. Let's rise and shine. So talks money, the future's aligned. Grab your coffee, let's take a ride. It's wealth and wisdom, time will ride. Author, investor, educator, team, sharing the wealth, building things you should do. From trust to banking, it's all a must. Your guide to what is learning to trust. Let's unite, secure it right. Dreams take shape with every insight. Wills and assets, life insurance plans, building for your future with expert hands. Sometimes money and more, raising wealth, knowledge galore. Asset protection plans to grow, to read and watch your dreams overflow. From saving today to trust to life, breaking generational wealth divides. Healthcare directives, banking tips, we're here to help your fortune eclipse. From saving today to trust to life, breaking generational wealth divides. Healthcare directives, banking tips, we're here to help your fortune eclipse. And now it's time to learn, so wisdom's your return. Invest, protect, and thrive for sure. Signing off is gold, talks money and more.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to another episode of So Talks Money and More. I am your host, Dr. Sabrina Edmon Williams, educator, author, and investor, opening minds and closing contracts. I am so noted. And as always, I am grateful that you have chosen to spend a portion, just a small portion of your morning with me. Whether you're listening to us on the radio, watching on YouTube, or on Facebook, thank you for joining the conversation this morning. And I got to give a shout out. I see y'all checking in. Facebook, I see you. YouTube, I see you. Go on and drop in the chat where you're checking in from. I see California is in the house. Welcome to this conversation. You guys, this one, I want you to really just lean in and listen to what we're talking about today. I had to go deep. I know this is a holiday season and we're in a festive mood. But before we talk about money, before we talk about trust, before we talk about planning, I want to ask you a question that may actually stop some of you in your tracks. I want to ask a question. And that question is, what if the greatest gift you could give your family this Christmas isn't wrapped under a tree? What if the greatest gift you could give your family this Christmas isn't wrapped under a tree? What if the greatest gift that you could give your family is actually peace? I want that to sink in for a moment. What if the greatest gift that you could give your family is actually peace? Peace of mind, peace in moments of grief, peace when life happens unexpectedly. Peace when you're no longer here to explain your wishes. As I stated, we're in the Christmas season and the giving season. So, the stores, some of them are actually crowded, and surprisingly, some of them are not crowded. Packages are actually being delivered. Lists are being checked twice for those who are both naughty and nice. But long after those gifts have been opened, long after all that good food has been eaten, and the decorations come down, the question remains, will your family have peace or will they have confusion? I want you to make this personal this morning. I want you to make it personal because only you can answer the question. Long after the gifts have been opened, the food has been eaten, the decorations have come down, the question remains, will your family have peace or will they have confusion? Now, this morning's conversation, don't get me wrong, it's not meant to scare anybody. It's not. It's actually meant to settle you. It's meant to help you reflect as we're getting ready to go into a new year. We need to do some reflection. And yes, it's meant to lovingly challenge you and you and you. It's meant to challenge you because peace is not accidental. It's not. Peace is intentional. And peace is a gift that must be given while we still have breath in our bodies. Now, for many families, Christmas is joyful, but for many families, it can be heavy. It can really be heavy. It's heavy because, you're looking around the table and you notice empty seats at the table. They're very visible. It's heavy because certain voices are missing in our conversations, in our festivities. And it's heavy because grief doesn't take a holiday. You know, 2025 alone has seen many, many, many instances of funerals, services, in some instances, more funerals than celebrations. I don't know about for you guys, but it's been heavy for me. I think about just this past week, I received the news that my sister-in-law passed away. I also received the news that one of my schoolmates, who was actually serving as the chancery clerk in my hometown of Prentice, passed away. Those of you that are faithful WMPR listeners know that our very own Mr. Larry Armstrong funeralized his son on Saturday. Last Saturday, I was at a funeral. Friend of mine from the Y, Miss Savannah, passed away. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on, you guys. Many of us have experienced a lot of loss in 2025. We've also lost many public figures, people whose names are very recognizable. But even more painful are the people whose names never trend online. You know, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents, siblings, cousins, church members, neighbors. Those losses, they hit us right here. Those are painful. And during the holidays, grief has a way of asking questions. Questions like, did they leave things in order? Do we know what they wanted? Why are we arguing when we're supposed to be healing? Now, if you're listening this morning, I want you to pause and reflect. Again, Dr. Williams wants you to make it personal this morning. How many people in your family, your friend circle, your circle of influence, how many did you lose in 2025? And how many of those losses came with clarity instead of confusion? I want you to think about that. Now, here's the truth that we don't like to talk about. We don't like to talk about this. Love alone does not prevent chaos. You can have the best intentions in the world, but if there is no plan put in place to prevent chaos, it doesn't just happen. It's not going to just happen. You can love your children deeply and still leave them unprotected. You can love your spouse dearly and still leave them struggling. You can love your family fiercely and still leave them fighting. Now, when there is no plan, somebody has a plan. The courts step in. When there is no clarity, conflicts follow. Confusion follows. And when there are no instructions, families are left guessing. They're left guessing. Every time I hear people say something, and I want to give you a way to tune in to whether folks have their affairs or not. When you hear families say, we have to make a decision about whether to remove the feeding tube or remove the person from the ventilator, you know what that says? In essence, they're saying our loved ones left no instructions behind for what they wanted, what their end of life plans were. They left that responsibility on us. That's what they say. And during the holidays, when emotions are already high, unresolved estates turn grief into trauma. Emotions are already high for many people. That's not because families don't care. Don't misunderstand me. That's not what Dr. Williams is trying to imply. That's not because our families don't care. It's because planning was postponed. You know how we do it. I'll get around to it. Sooner or later, we'll get it done. I'm busy right now. I've heard it all, you guys. I've had people I've been talking to for the last year and a half, and they still telling me, I'll get around to it. Postpone planning has consequences, because the reality is none of us know. None of us know when our last day on earth will be. None of us know that. And because we don't know, we cannot afford to continue postponing the inevitable. The reality is it's coming. It's coming, whether we want it to or not. It's coming. It's coming. My question is, are you prepared? You prepared? Have you prepared your family? Peace doesn't just happen by accident, my friends. Peace is a deliberate decision. Estate planning is not about death, although many of us think it is. That's why we avoid it. I don't like that death talk. I don't want to think about that. I want to think about that. In reality, it's about love, it's about stewardship, and it's about responsibility. It's about responsibility. It's saying to your family, I cared enough about you to prepare. I thought about you even when it was uncomfortable for me. I thought about you. I wanted to protect you from unnecessary pain. Preparation is not fear, my friends. Preparation is wisdom. Preparation is not fear. Preparation is wisdom. And wisdom, especially in our community, is an act of resistance against loss. Since July of 2024, if you guys have been following my journey, you know I debuted my book, Learning to Trust: The Black Family's Guide for Building, Protecting, and Transferring Wealth. My messaging has been consistent. No matter where you saw me, when you talked to me, week after week, platform after platform, conversation after conversation, my messaging has not changed. Now, granted, I've polished it a little bit. Thank goodness. That comes with growth. That comes with time. I've polished it. Sometimes I've had to repackage it, but the message has been consistent, you guys. I want to pause right here to actually say thank you to all of you who have tuned in faithfully. I appreciate you more than words can ever express. I want to thank you to those who have shared my shows, the episodes. My thanks to you. I want to thank you for the messages, the text messages, the comments, the encouragement that you have given me, because this is heavy. Being the bearer of this news is not easy. It's heavy. So I do thank you guys for the encouragement. But I have a deeper question for you. My question that I often wonder is my message really being heard? Is it moving anybody to action? That's the question that I have. I'm here on this platform week after week. Many of you see me, you look on YouTube, you see me on Facebook. You know what I'm doing. I don't have a clue what you're doing. Not a clue what you're doing. What I do know is many of you are not reaching out to me. Perhaps you're reaching out to others, and I applaud you if you are. But the reality is, the question remains in my mind. Am I just talking to be talking? Am I being heard? I'm not here for my benefit, you guys. I could have walked away when I finished my own estate planning. Turn the book, close the chapter, gone on with my life. But this is important to me because I recognize and I realize that this is a messaging that our community actually really needs. Now, when information is given and it does not provide any action, what does it produce? Certainly doesn't produce peace. Awareness without movement does not protect families. Y'all know how I say it, and I'll pause and I'll say it again. I can give you the information, I can give you the education all day long, but unless and until there is implementation, your situation is not going to change. It does not matter that you're scared. It does not matter that you don't want to talk about death. You don't want to think about it. It does not matter that we convince ourselves, I can't afford it. It does not matter that I don't know where to start. I don't know what to say. I'm embarrassed. None of that stuff matters. Because in the end, if you don't do what is necessary, you leave your families vulnerable. Every year, many families repeat the same painful cycles: fundraisers, family disputes, silent resentment, unclear responsibilities. Different year, same outcome. And I once heard somebody say it like this: insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. It's going to yield the same outcome. It's going to yield the same outcome. At some point, we have to ask ourselves, how long do we plan to keep doing things the same? How long do we plan to keep doing things the same and expecting different results? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's time to start breaking some cycles, people. My people, good people, Black people. It's time for us to start breaking some cycles. Breaking cycles requires courage, and courage begins with one decision. This ends with me. I will not leave my family vulnerable. I will not leave my family without a plan. I will not leave my family having to guess about what my wishes were. I will not leave my family in confusion. I will not leave my family fighting. I will not leave my family vulnerable. I will not leave my blended family fussing over my stuff. I will not do it. It's one decision that only we as individuals can make. That one decision. Now, I'm going to go biblical on you for just a minute. I'm not going to get too churchy. I know the preacher preached real good yesterday, but I got to take it back, you guys. You know, the Bible tells us about this character called Noah. I know you all remember Noah. All of us went to VBS back in the day. I don't know if the preacher preaches too much about Noah anymore, but I remember Noah from Vacation Bible School. Noah had a warning. He warned the people, remember? He preached, he explained, but all the while, what he didn't do is he didn't get distracted. He didn't stop building that ark. No matter who was listening to him, he kept right on building anyway. Even though folks were saying, it ain't rained in years. We ain't seen no rain. Rain? What you talking about? It don't rain around these parts. You know, they had a song out not back in the day, what it say, it doesn't rain in Southern California. Well, I don't know. Maybe they had a song out back then too. I don't know. But the point is, Noah kept doing what Noah was called to do, and that was preach the word. He kept trying to tell folks, warn folks. People heard him. But what did they do? Absolutely nothing. Not one thing did they do. They kept right on doing things the same. Now, we all know what happened. The rain finally did come. And when it rained, and it rained some more. And it rained so much so that big old boat that Noah was building, what did it do? It floated to safety. And everybody that was inside was protected. Those that were outside perished. When the rain came, preparation mattered. When the rain came, preparation mattered. Estate planning is modern day obedience, my friends. It's preparing before the storm, not during it, not after it. It's preparing before the storm. Because see, here's the reality. The time to think about whether you have a healthcare directive in place is not when you're laying flat on your back in the hospital. It's not when you're hooked up to a ventilator. No, it's not when somebody is performing cardiopulmonary resuscitation, what we know as CPR. That's not the time to think about whether or not a healthcare directive is in place. The time to think about that is before preparation, before, okay? The time to think about having a power of attorney in place is not when you need it. It's not when you need it. It's before you need it. You don't think about it when mama is already suffering from dementia. No. When you go changing things then, that's when you get yourself in trouble. You can get yourself in trouble waiting until mama is already suffering from dementia to go trying to change stuff over and switch stuff up. No, it's called preparation. Because as my mama always says, just keep living. Keep living. It's coming. It's coming for all of us. Keep living. But the thing is, we've got to start preparing, taking actions now to prepare for what inevitably will likely come for all of us. It's called preparation. Preparation. Noah didn't wait for the proof. You know, he trusted the warning. When he was warned that the rain was going to come, he didn't sit there trying to debate with God, well, Lord, yeah, I don't know what rain is. I ain't never heard of rain in these parts. When is it going to come? How is it going to come? Is it going to be a little sprinkle? Is it going to be a thunder? He didn't do that. He heeded the warning. It's coming. He heeded the warning. And today, my friends, you too, you're hearing one. You're hearing a warning. It's coming. It may not be you. It may be your parent. It may be your spouse. It may be your child. It may be someone that you're responsible for caring for. But it's coming. Trust me, it's coming. My question though is, will you be prepared? Will you be prepared? Some gifts can't be purchased. They can't be purchased. Peace is one of those. I want you to think about that. Out of all the things that we can go in the store over the next couple of weeks, I think we have exactly 10 days before that day that we celebrate as Christmas. Out of all the things that we can purchase, you can't purchase peace. Now, I know, if y'all on the Madeira bandwagon, Madeira says she could purchase a piece and get her some peace, but we're not talking about that kind of peace, okay? Wrong piece right there. Wrong piece. The peace that gives us the comfort of knowing that our loved ones are cared for, that they're going to be okay if something were to happen. That's the peace Dr. Williams is talking about today. Think of estate planning as your final love letter to your family. That love letter that says, I didn't leave you with questions. I didn't leave you with chaos. I left you with peace. That's the gift worth giving. Now, I want you to think back, those of you that are still with me. I know this may be a little heavy, but it's necessary. I want you to think back. How far can you go back in your remembrance to gifts that you were given as a child? How far do you remember? Some of us can't even remember what we got last Christmas, let alone when we were children. But we spend a lot of our resources. We spend time, we spend hours shopping on Amazon, all these different places, trying to find the perfect gift for these children. We save. Some of us don't save. We used to put stuff in the layaway. We don't do that anymore. We put it on credit cards now to make sure that our children have the perfect gifts for Christmas. But yet, we won't take a fraction of that time to give them the gift that really matters, the gift of peace. Won't take a fraction of that time. And the reality is we've got to shift. We got to make a shift. We got to make a shift. We've got to do things differently. I think about my friends over in the Latino community and some of these other communities that are dealing with these ICE deportations. I want y'all to just think about that for a minute. I got to take you somewhere else for just a moment. Can you imagine, Mr. Jones, if you're listening to me over there, I just want you to imagine you leave your home, you go to your job, you say goodbye to your family. Maybe you didn't even have a chance to tell them goodbye because they were still asleep when you left going to work. And you sitting there doing your job, minding your own business, and all of a sudden federal agents walk in with guns and badges and they swoop you up, put you in a van, take you somewhere to some encampment somewhere. And the next thing you know, you're on a plane headed to a whole nother country that you don't know anything about. Did you leave your family protected? Who's going to take care of your responsibilities? Who's going to do that? What did you do? Now, I know you're saying, well, Dr. Williams, what does that have to do with us? That's not us. That's them. Yeah, well, it's them today. Who's to say it won't be us tomorrow? I'm not suggesting. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm simply saying, what if? What if? Would your family be protected? Would you have your things in place? Do you have those in place? Again, Noah spent years warning folks, trying to ring the alarm and saying it's time to do something different. We got to get this thing together. And people heard him, but they did nothing. Dr. Williams has spent over a year now with this message. And I will continue the messaging because it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Now, with that being said, I'm looking at the hour. My clock in front of me, Mr. Jones, is wrong because according to this clock, it's 9:29. I'm way over time according to this clock. But I believe we have reached the half-hour mark. If you give me just a moment, we're going to go to a brief commercial break. And on the other side of the break, I need to bring you into this discussion. So don't tune out. Now, don't stop watching me. Don't log off. Come on back. Come on back on the other side of this commercial break.
Hello, this is Dr. Sabrina Edmon Williams, educator, author, investor, and host of So Talks Money and More. You are invited to start your week with me at 7 a.m. on Mondays, right here at WMPR 90.1 FM or online at WMPR90.1.com as we educate, enlighten, inform, and empower our community about the importance of building, protecting, and transferring wealth. If it's Monday, so is talking money and more. So Talks Money and More is a proud underwriter of WMPR.
Good morning, and welcome back. If you are, am I not live? Was it my turn to talk? Okay. Well, okay then. He looked at me like, why you talking? Okay. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you have tuned into the right station this morning. You have reached So Talks Money and More. I am your host, Dr. Sabrina Edmon Williams, and this morning we are having a conversation that's a little heavy. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that, but it's necessary. This is the Christmas season, the holiday season, and I know that many people are in the stores buying gifts. You know, we got to find the perfect gift, the perfect gift. But this morning, we're talking about the gift of peace, the greatest gift that many of us can ever give our families, which is the gift of peace, the gift of knowing that we have placed our affairs in proper order so that if something should happen to us, that our earthly goods will transfer to those whom we have identified, those that we deem worthy of receiving those gifts without confusion, without fighting, without chaos, you know? So that's what we're talking about this morning. And as I said right before we went to break, I want to bring you in the conversation, my listening audience, my viewing audience. I have a question for you. I want to bring you into this conversation. Now, I'm going to tell you, go ahead. I need to hear from you. This is a conversation. Conversation means it's two-way. The monologue is over. Now we need to do some dialoguing. We need to have some conversation. So I need to hear from you in the chat, whether you're watching me on Facebook or YouTube, or if you're in the listening audience. Our number here in the studio is area code 601-948-5950. Again, that number is area code 601-948-5950. So my question for you is, if you could give your family one non-material gift this Christmas. So non-material, meaning that's not something you're going to go to the store and buy. Non-material Christmas gift, something that would still matter. Listen at this part now, not just non-material, but something that would still matter years from now. What would that be? What would that be? If you could give your family one non-material gift this Christmas, something that would still matter years from now, what would that be? I want to know. I'm interested. I'm curious minds want to know. Come on, call in. And if you don't have an answer to that call, how about we go somewhere else? I want you to think back. Over the years, many of us that celebrate Christmas have received many, many Christmas gifts throughout the years. Now, of those gifts that you have received, how many of us even still have those gifts? Do we even remember what they were? Now, I'll tell you a quick story I will share with you. I'll tell you one I do remember, but I'm going to take this call and I'll be right back with you. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Well, praise the Lord, Dr. Williams, and I'm calling because I have your book as well as listening to you faithfully. But one gift that I would give would be example. I come from a family of 14. Daddy died at an early age, nothing but girls. And my point was living it, doing it, and as far as being an example, that would be the legacy of love to show them, even through struggles, poverty, that you are someone who can leave an example. And what did Mama do when she was in this situation? And based on what you're saying in your book, we have to have someone to have an example to what to do. And I'll just say living it and have that legacy go on and teach and be that example. And I'll hang up and listen.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for calling in and sharing that, sharing your sentiments with us, that one non-material gift that you would leave behind. You guys, I can't express this enough. When we talk about example, we have had many examples left behind for us. Some of our foreparents left behind an example of what to do. But unfortunately, in so many of our cases, the example that has been left behind is of what not to do. Point in case, those of us that are dealing with heirs property, okay, as I minister to others, I minister to myself. That's an example, but that's an example of what not to do when it comes to estate planning or the lack thereof, because my grandparents lacked the education, the information, the exposure to how to properly transfer their wealth to their family. Now we're dealing with an heirs property situation. And now, if you have not been following Dr. Williams and you don't know what I'm talking about, when I say heirs property, all I mean is property that has been transferred to us without a clear title. So without a clear title, that means that everybody, all of us, have a piece of ownership in that property. Now, you might think that's a good thing, and then for some families, that may be a good thing. But here's the reality. What can you do with the property? You can't go take a loan against the property. You can't get federal assistance if something were to happen to the property. I mean, there are just so many things that cannot happen. So when we talk about examples, this is what Dr. Williams is here to challenge us to think about. Somebody has to break the cycle. Somebody has to break the cycle. Why not be the example, the one who says, I will break the cycle. I will be the example of what to do, of how to do. It's not that difficult, you guys. It really is not. It boils down to taking the time to sit down and think about what you have and putting a plan in place. We have another caller. Let's see here. Good morning, caller. You're on air.
Good morning, Dr. Williams. How are you today?
I am wonderful. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Just a couple of things right quick. You were talking about leaving the family in a tough situation. I know people that own funeral home here in Jackson and people that work for funeral home. And one of the things they talk about a lot is a lot of families come, they don't have no count on finance to bury their loved one. And they see it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing. We buy everything else, but we don't. I've even heard a person say, I'll be dead then.
Mm-hmm.
But then you leave responsibility on your family.
Right.
And also, you mentioned air practice. I understand what you were going through. We had that situation, had to try to find everybody. You know, I had 6 uncles and two aunts, and all their children and grandchildren. We had to find everybody to sign off to get the property, you know, in the position that we could do something with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a tough problem. Our grandparents didn't know, you know, they didn't leave no kind of instruction. And it was really difficult. Plus, you got to play a lawyer to try to dig up all this information. So, if what you're doing and saying, I hope your listeners will take heed and start preparing themselves, quit buying Air Jordan, and buy you a small insurance that will help on your burial. And I will get off the phone and listen for your comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling in and sharing those comments. Thank you so much. The reality is, you guys, he's so correct with that statement about our foreparents. You know, I love my grandparents, both sets, maternal grandparents and paternal grandparents. And if you read my book, you'll know that it's not putting them down. I feel like they did the best that they could with the knowledge that they had. But now it's 2025. We're about to go into 2026. We know better. You can't say that you don't know better. If you that are listening to my voice, if you that are watching me on this screen, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, if you don't do anything to leave your family in a better position, shame on you. Shame on you. We know better now. Our foreparents did not have the knowledge. We have the knowledge now. We have been exposed to the information. It is time for us to make some decisions and just do better. Just do better. Don't beat yourself up over it, about it, because it hadn't been done to this point. Just pick yourself up and go ahead and do it. If we can afford to do all the other things that we do, think about the vacations that many of us have had, the luxury cruises, the luxury cars, some of us nice homes. You know, as I minister to others, I minister unto myself. I had to put the mirror in front of my own face. Okay, I had to. So I want to encourage us to take some action, because we do leave our families in a very vulnerable position. Now, I want to go back and address something he also said about those funeral services. If you have heard me speak before, I have shared this story and I will share it again. I have been in situations where I've had to come out of pocket to help bury family members. If it wasn't the entire funeral services, it was having to help pay on repasts. It was having to help pay for, the spray that goes on the casket. It was having to help pay for digging of the grave. All of those things cost, you guys. It is not cheap to bury somebody. I think the national average for a funeral is somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000. That's a lot of money for people to have to come up with on the spur of a dime. Now, I'll give you another hint. When you ask folks, you hear that somebody died, and you ask folks, when is the service? And folks start saying, well, the arrangements are incomplete. And they saying that a week later, chances are they're trying to come up with the money to bury the person. The hint, no money to bury the person. Now, ask yourself, why does somebody owe you that? Why does somebody owe you? Why does somebody owe you? Why is it somebody else's responsibility to put you in the ground? I don't understand our thinking a lot of the times. And we have got to revisit that, because we're leaving our families, those that we love, we're leaving them in a very vulnerable position when we pass away and we have not done anything. So if y'all don't hear nothing else I say, if you don't do anything else, at least prepay your funeral service. Just go talk to the people at the funeral home, pick out their casket, wherever you want, and go ahead and pay for all that stuff. So your family is not tasked with that responsibility. That they're not tasked with their responsibility. That's a lot. I've had to do it. And I'm telling you, it's a lot on a person, a family, to have to do that. We can do better. Now, even if you can't pay it all at one time, pay on it. Pay on, do whatever you need to do. I'm sure the funeral homes will work with you. Put it on the layaway. Do whatever you need to do, but don't leave that responsibility for those that we love. It's not right, you guys. Sometimes, and I think that's where we are as a society. We won't call right, and wrong. And that is wrong. That's wrong. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. Let's stop that. Okay. Now, back to my story that I was about to tell you. I thought I had forgotten. When I think back, Mr. Jones, about those Christmas presents that I got as a child, I don't remember too many of them, but I do remember this one time when I wanted this baby doll. And for me, this was a big deal, and probably for many little Black girls that look like me, because, you know, back in the day, they didn't really have a lot of baby dolls that looked like us. You know, the babies that we got, they had dolls, but they didn't have a lot of them that looked like us. Okay. I mean, me, little brown girls. They ain't have none that look like us. So I remember vividly that Christmas when my parents got me a baby that looked like me. Mr. Hart, I was so excited to see my baby. She was the prettiest little thing, had long ponytail just like mine. I was so excited to see that baby. Well, now I kept her for a while. And I had an older cousin that got me in all kind of trouble, y'all. She got me in and out of trouble. Let's just put it like that. Well, she convinced little old me that we should trim my baby's hair. We should cut the baby's hair and that it would grow back. Well, I didn't know. I let her convince me to cut my baby's hair, and I did. And I'm still waiting to this day, 40 some years later, for my baby's hair to grow back. It ain't grown back yet. Now, I remember that because it had a traumatic effect on me, you guys. I'm waiting for my baby's hair to grow back. I say that lovingly and in fun. I remember that. What your family will remember may not be those gifts that you gave them in terms of those dolls and those iPhones and those Jordans and all these other nice things that we give. But I tell you what, you leave them in a position where they can grieve, where they have peace. And Lord, help you if you leave them with some generational wealth. Yeah, they're going to remember. They will remember you. They will remember your name. I want you to think about how many of these, especially these new generation, these new era children, how many of them even know their grandparents' names? Okay. What about great-grandparents? What about great-great-grandparents? They don't know their names. They don't know who they are. Can't tell you. Don't believe me? Go ask some of them. Try it for yourself. Go ask them, do they remember, do they know who their great-grandparents were? Many of them won't be able to tell you. And if they can tell you, they may be able to tell you grandma somebody, but they can't tell you anything any further. They won't know her last name. They won't know the family lineage. But when we leave behind a legacy, when we leave people in a position where they are better off, not worse off, trust me, they will remember you. And I want to encourage us this morning. Let's start leaving behind legacies that are positive. Let's start leaving behind examples of how to do things the right way. Let's start leaving behind some finances to make sure that if nothing else, nobody has to take on the responsibility of underwriting our funeral costs. You know, when earlier in the show we talked about and we challenged you to think about the number of people that you know that will not make it to, did not make it into 2026, that we lost in 2025. Think about that. My mother always says, we're talking about them today, but guess what? There's going to come a day when somebody's going to be talking about you. You'll be the one that they're talking about that passed away. Now, what else do you want them to be saying? What else you want them to say? You know, what you want them to say is, that was a good steward. That was a person who prepared for their family. Because y'all know we get up at these funerals and we say all kind of stuff. Trust me, I just went to a few of them. The last few weekends I've been at funerals and I've heard folks say all kind of stuff. This person was this. They were a good church member and they sang in the choir and the mother was on the motherboard. But you know what I ain't never heard? What I have not heard, I have not heard a person say, this person left behind a legacy of preparation for their family. They left behind a legacy of preparation. They left behind an example for the rest of the family to follow because they had their business in order. I've never heard that. Never heard that. But I tell you what I want the folks to say about me, y'all can save all them other things that y'all got to say. She was this, she was that, she was the other. Say that. Say that. I want it to be known that she left her family prepared. She did not leave a burden of responsibility on her family. All of us should want that to be our legacy. I want you to think about that. Some of that stuff we know folks be lying when they up there talking about them folk. We know they lying. Just up there just because they said you got 2 minutes. Sit down. Go somewhere and sit down. Sit down. Let's tell the truth. The person did not leave their family prepared. They had to pass the hat to put the person in the grave. We don't talk about that part, but that's the reality. That's the reality. A lot of us leave our families like that, but we want to put them in heaven at the funeral. No, they didn't take care of what they needed to take care of on earth. But we're not going to have that be your story, are we? We're not going to do that. This morning, we're talking about giving the gift of peace. Now, again, I know this was heavy, but some of us needed to hear it. And as the preacher say, if I'm on your road, just say ouch and keep on going. But don't stop. Don't sit down. Love is an action. Don't just tell your families you love them. Prove that you love them. Get your affairs in order. Do what you need to do now while you're on this side. Now, I'm looking at the clock and I want to go ahead and just move into this closing monologue this morning. Again, we know that it is, the Christmas season is upon us, the giving season. And there's nothing any better that we can give our families this Christmas season if we have not already done it. Now, some of you may have already done this. For those that have already done it, what my challenge to you is, don't get comfortable. Estate planning is not a one and done. It's not something you do today and I got my stuff in order. No, it's something that needs to be revisited, at least on an annual basis. Now, why do you say that, Dr. Williams? I'm glad you asked. Why? Because life happens. People die. People are born. Things change. So you have to look at your plans. Make sure you're updating beneficiaries where necessary, when necessary. A lot of times people will marry, divorce, and forget to go back and change beneficiary information. Well, guess what? If you left your ex-spouse as the beneficiary on these policies, guess who's going to get the money? Whether you want them to or not, they are going to get it because you did not do what you were supposed to do. I tell you, when it comes to this estate planning stuff and taking care of your affairs, literally, you guys, we don't have time to mind anybody else's business. There are so many things that we need to be taking care of our own. We don't have time to be in nobody else's business. It takes all of our time to mind our own business. Parents, if you have children, college-age children, it does not matter that they are still on your insurance. There are certain documents like a healthcare directive and a power of attorney that those of age children need to have. That's something you can give them for Christmas. That doesn't cost a dime. You can give that to them. But you have to be intentional. You have to be informed. You have to be educated on what you can give them. These non-material gifts. We spend hours, a lot of times, in these checkout lines, fussing, fighting, pulling over stuff. But the things that really matter, we don't take the time. We don't take the time to do them. These are things that are necessary. They're important. And I want to encourage us to go ahead. Now that we know better, let's do better. Let's not be like the people in Noah's day that heard him give that warning. They heard it, but they did nothing. And guess what happened when the storm came? When the rain came down, it was too late. So as we close today, I want to encourage you. I'm not here to condemn you. No. We're not here to even pressure you. But I'm certainly here to encourage you. It's not too late today because you're still alive. You still got breath in your body. It's not too late. You still have time. Still got breath. It's not too late. This Christmas, I want you to consider giving your family the gift of peace. The gift of peace. Many of us will gather in just a few days. Some of us will be gathering for the celebration of Christmas. As I said, in my case, we'll be gathering for a funeral. But it's time to have some conversations. It's time to have conversations. If you don't know how to start the conversation, reach out to me. I got some conversation starters, and I'll be happy to share those with you. In fact, I'm going to drop the link in my description on YouTube to help you just start the conversation. Because I know for many people, that's the problem. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to start this conversation with my family. It's time for us to develop some plans. Maybe the question needs to be, by show of hands, how many of y'all have some life insurance while you're sitting around the table? By show of hands, if something were to happen right now, how many of you already have all your affairs in order? By show of hands, how many of you, if you got sick, you have the proper paperwork in order? Just ask the question, start the conversation, take the step. I want to encourage you. Don't be afraid. Take the steps. And for those of you who have not done so, if you've not finished your Christmas shopping, or even if you are finished with your Christmas shopping, if you have not purchased a copy of my book, Learning to Trust, the Black Family's Guide for Building, Protecting, and Transferring Wealth, I encourage you. You spending money anyway, spend it with a Black business. I welcome your business. My website is www.iamsonoted. That's IAMSEWNOTED.co. IAMSEWNOTED.co. noted.co. Visit that website. Go ahead and get your copy. We got some new things coming in 2026, as a matter of fact, and I'm going to talk more about those not next week, but the following week. But I certainly want to encourage you to get a copy of the book. It is a great way. It's an easy read. It's not very many pages. I wrote that book on about a third, fourth grade level so that my people, my community could understand the words that were coming out of my mouth, okay? So I wanted to make sure we had no excuses for lack of understanding. Please support the work that we've done. We're putting in the work over here, but I cannot do it by myself. I need your help and your support to do so. Use that book as a resource to help have that conversation, because the greatest gift that you can give your family really is peace. This is Dr. Sabrina Edmon Williams. Until next time, when trust matters, learn to trust. It's been good, you guys. I'll see you right here next Monday. Peace. Come on, Mr. Jones, with that outro.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views or policies of WMPR Radio, its management,